guys, so obviously we gotta get to the chase. We gotta go to the chase. Oh my god, okay. So, as promised, here is a Halloween makeup tutorial. Oh my god! I'm probably going to scream all over this video, but I'm so excited to show you guys how I got this Halloween makeup look. I already previously washed, moisturized, and primed my face before applying any paint on it, but what I wished I would have done differently is applied the makeup side first instead of the paint side. Also, don't forget to remove any jewelry pieces that you may have on prior to applying any of the paint, just because I'm sure you guys wouldn't want to ruin any of your jewelry. Now that I've mainly applied the paint all over one side of my face, I'm also going to be applying the orange paint down my neck and blending that in on my ear as well. The palette I'm going to be using is called the Athena painting palette by UCANBE. It comes with the brushes, a spatula, and a metal plate. Here I'm going to start carving out the nose, and I'm going for a hollow, cracked, skull-like nose, if that makes any sense. And I'm also going to start applying the edges where the cracks will be around the paint, the orange paint. The brush I'm using to make these small details is a number 2 brush that came in the set with the paint. And I do have to say that the hardest part was creating the cracks on the pumpkin's face, just because they were very small and you had to make them very precise. But honestly, that was my bad, because there was a smaller brush in the set that was more precise and had a finer tip. But I ended up fixing it with concealer or erasing it with a sponge if I needed to. And I do have to say that the paints that came in the kit are very creamy and very pigmented. But I was going in with a light hand just because I didn't know how pigmented they were. But as long as you grab the right amount, they will show up. Before playing with this makeup tutorial, I did make a swatch test with each of the paints that came in the set. And I noticed that the more purple, pinks, and blue tones stained, but the yellows, the greens, the silvers, the whites, and the blacks surprisingly didn't stain at all. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you guys. On the opposite side where the makeup will be, I'm going to start doing the cracks a little bit lower on my face, right underneath the apples of my cheeks, just so I have enough space to do the makeup side on. I'm very sorry that I didn't really show much of the carving out on this side. I completely forgot that I had to turn my face so that way you guys can see the side better, but you guys will get to see it later on. Because I had never used paints on my face or any body paint at all, I did try to blend as I go, just because I didn't know how fast the paint would dry. But because this is a creamy texture, it didn't really dry unless you set it. Because I did go with a light hand in the beginning, now I am retracing the black cracks with the paint. And I made sure to blend the paints together like almost every second, just because I did want this look to be very well blended and look like there was an actual crack on my face, you know. For the triangle carving on the eye, I did want it to look more imperfect, so I didn't make the lines as perfect or as symmetrical. And then I started filling in the triangle with black paint and the number 4 brush that came in the kit. And it's okay if the lines are not perfectly straight. You can always go back in with the paintbrush and the orange paint to clean out the lines and make them a little bit more straight. Now it's time to just outline your lips like if you're putting on a lip liner and then filling them in with the black paint. And I also did extend the outer edges of my lips just to look more like a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern look. And once I do that on both sides, I'm going to start drawing the stitches on the lips. They definitely don't have to be symmetrically apart from each other. As you can see on one side of my face, the stitches are more apart from each other than the opposite side. After that, I went back in with the black paint just to create more darkness on the cracks of my face, and applied more black paint on the outer edges closest to my hairline to create more depth. You also see me go back in with the orange paint because I felt like it needed a little bit more blending from the orange. It's time to start making this pumpkin come alive with the carvings on it, so that's why I'm gonna start drawing out the lines going down from the top of my forehead down to my neck. And these are not perfect at all, they're not straight, but that's perfectly okay. And I know that they are also not very prominent. I'm always gonna go back with the paint to make them darker and build as I go. That way I don't make them way too dark or too thick. When I found myself making a mistake, I would always go back with the orange paint to fix the black paint and with the number 10 pencil that came in the kit. I always ended up coming back to the nose and the cracks on my face because I felt like I could make them darker just so they could be more prominent and I guess pop out or stand out more. And every time I had to blend, I found it easier to blend with my fingers, sometimes a sponge. To better blend the lines going down my face and the cracks as well, I'm going to be using a dark black matte eyeshadow and just placing that on top of every black little detail I drew on my face, and to set the paint as well. Something I found that I could have improved on was that I could have set my whole face with powder. This way the paints, especially on my neck, wouldn't have mixed together or become muddy, but that's something that I'm going to have to learn along the way since this is my first time using face paint and body paint. For the makeup side, I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors concealer, Meet Your Hue in the shade 09 Light, and setting that with the Pretty Vulgar translucent powder in the shade 147 Matte About It. And I'm gonna be using the Kylie Jenner Calm Before the Storm palette and using the shade Angel. Now here's the tricky part because I should have done the makeup side first. Due to the cracks on my face and the small lines, I couldn't really get the concealer all the way through on those places, but that's definitely okay. Now I'm going to be filling in my eyebrow with the Real Her I Am Inspiring eyebrow pencil and blending that out. I placed some loose glitter all over my eye, and I also used the Revlon Photo Ready Eye Art in the shade Green Glimmer. Now I'm placing some blush on the apples of my cheeks. To highlight the eye, I used the holographic highlighter palette from Naked Cosmetics and used the yellow shade on the brow bone and the highest points of my cheeks. At this point, I felt like the pastel look was a little bit too light, so I decided to add the blue shade from that same highlighter palette all over the lid. I had forgotten to place some black eyeshadow on the nose, so that's what I'm doing here just to set the paint. And also blending the black paint on the edges of my hairline. Going back to the eye, I did place a little bit of the black paint as eyeliner. I ended up placing the shade Peace from the Morphe 25L Live-In Color palette on my crease to create more depth, and I also placed the purple highlighter shade from the Naked Cosmetics palette on my lower lid. Then I went back in with some more silver loose glitter and placed it all over my lid. Here's how the makeup is looking so far, but I think we need some lashes. And that's the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Just threw on some accessories, put my hair up in a bun to represent Cinderella. So until next time. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.